We're in the USA! Woo!
This is where we stayed last night and it's absolutely beautiful. And what was really funny, we got here and it was pretty busy, so there's a few other little camping spots and there was loads of, I don't know, maybe early 20s, late teens, and it's almost like spring break, so they're all drinking and skinny dipping and crying and throwing up and just generally doing what they do. And Joel and I sitting around the campfire enjoying a bottle of red wine, discussing historic England. Middle age has hit. We are in the campsite from hell on earth. Hell.
Absolute hell. So we were parked a couple of sites down from a big group of hillbillies that in the daytime, like there was just this old couple yelling at each other.
Like really awful, wasn't it?
Yeah, and at night it's just blaring country music. I mean,
it's like 1 o'clock in the morning on a, is it Sunday? Yes, 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday night, so Monday morning. And those hillbillies, you can hear it. We've moved down to the bottom of the campsite, you can hear it.
Yeah, we've moved really far away and down a hill, and you can still hear that bass. And we just feel sorry for the people in tents nearby, because you just can't move. I mean, it was hard enough us trying to move camp, because in the dark we were trying to take down the gazebo and the side awning, put the bikes on and shit.
Oh my god. Anyway.
And now we park up in this only other site that we can see. It's dark, so you don't want to be driving around too much in the campsite. And there's only blooming geese nesting right outside, just like making that squawking noise every 5 minutes. I mean, why don't they sleep? It's probably the bass. It's keeping them up, and they're keeping us up. We crossed into the USA. The guys at the border wouldn't give us any documentation for wrecks, and we thought we would check this, and it turns out they should have. And it's not really their fault, because how often do they get European vehicles over here? But they should have given us a temporary import notice which lasts for up to 12 months, and it exempts wrecks from their road standards laws. So technically we're driving around illegally because those guys wouldn't give us the form. Anyway, we had to call about 4 or 5 different departments today, and I had to try and convince the border guards that yes, they do have to stamp this form for us. And I kept saying to them, the Department of Transport says you can call them if you're unsure, but blah 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 blah. Anyway, we're driving back to the border now, which is a bit of a shame, but we kind of expected this might happen, so we didn't really leave the area. It's only an hour out of our way. We've got the forms that we need from a library, and we're going to get them printed. So, lessons for you guys or anyone doing this trip in a non-Canadian or non-American USA vehicle is make sure you complete a HS7 form from the Department of Transport's website, USA Department of Transport's website, and force the border guards to rubber stamp it. And if there's any problems, call up the Department of Transport and just get them to explain to the border guards that you need it done. In fairness, this form is usually used for something else, but if box 5 is ticked, it's then used for us. And just make sure that box 5 HS7 form is completed and they rubber stamp it, which means you can go into any state in the USA and the coppers can't pull you over because your vehicle isn't up to USA spec. At least that's what we're told. What a laugh.
We were driving along this morning, just leaving our wild camping spot, and we looked down and there's a car and there's some guys are stuck in the mud. So we came down to try and help and to try and tow them out. Now bearing in mind we don't have a winch or anything like that. A winch even? A winch? I think Joel has a winch, in me, but a winch. We don't have a winch. So it did take a little while, but we managed to just get the car out and reverse a different way. But check out how bad this ground is. Basically, that's where the guys were stuck. And you know, they weren't in a truck, they were in a car, so it was just, yeah, pretty tricky to get them out. Plus point, they're really cool guys, and we could ask a few questions about America and just, you know, about how things work, such as postage, that kind of thing that we might need to know. And also, really cool to meet them. So at the moment we're just putting the bikes back on the van and then we're going to hit the road. We're hoping in the meantime maybe to have a little wash before we head off, because we're looking a little bit muddy.
We have finally made it to a desert, even though when we were in Saskatoon in Canada we were actually technically in a desert. This is more like a traditional desert, and it's nice and hot for nicks.
I love it.
So we'd love to tell you exactly where we are, but we don't even know what state we're in. We think we've just crossed the border, but we'll check later. And this view is hardly great because of the highway there, so we'll just overlay it with some nice pictures for you later on. Yeah.
And today we're actually planning on doing a long ass drive. We're going to try and get to Yellowstone, or just outside it. That was really northern, wasn't it? Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
Sorry, Yellowstone, mate. We're going to get there. And then...
That isn't like...
No, okay, anyway, we're going to try and get there. We're going to get maybe just outside, probably stop driving about dusk. So we've got kind of a long drive ahead, but we're just so happy to have reached the sun. I am.
Yeah. I think she's going to be red like a crab later. We'll do another video for you then.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's go. So we've just passed into Idaho. We actually thought we were in Idaho earlier on, but it turns out the USA states are as large as the provinces in Canada. So we've only just passed it. It's getting a bit late in the day, so we're probably not going to make it to Yellowstone today, which is about another 7 hours away, which probably means it's 10 for Rex. So we're going to drive for as long as we can and find an Bare Overland spot and just chill out.
Got some beers as well.
Yeah, we got some beers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Finally made it back to the wilderness after a week of being in the USA, chilling out in towns, waiting for the papers for Rex, and also being in Mount Baker. That was beautiful, but full of 4th of July tourists and that campsite of doom. But we're here, and it's great. Where are we? We are somewhere in Idaho, about probably 30 kilometers from the border, state border of Montana. And tomorrow we cross into Montana before we go to Yellowstone. Probably should be in Yellowstone by 4 hours, 5 hours drive or something like that, which is really cool because that's where there's a whole load of bison, whole load of grizzlies, whole load of everything, and they've just introduced northwestern wolves in there as well. So everything that Nix and I love, most people fear. Yes. Today we were going to stay here, and we've got a nice little stream over there and everything that we need, but the cows are a little bit annoying, and also we've got ATVs, all-terrain vehicles, quad bikes as we call them in the UK and stuff like that, dirt buggies, flying up and down on this dust road here, which isn't much of a bother, but what we thought we had yesterday when we parked here was a nice remote spot. So what we're going to do is get our bikes out and have a little cycle, see if we can go 5 or 6 kilometers out the way, even probably drive off the dirt roads and go through the trees to try and find ourselves a nice little remote spot next to a water source, so we can clean up and all of that sort of jazz, and hopefully far enough away from the cows, because the cows seem to stick around like the ranchers, and the ranchers seem to have their like mobile homes with all their like, you know, traditional like western horses and all that sort of stuff, but they seem to be over there. So we're going to go over there, and then hopefully we can be at a cow range, and hopefully, because we're a little bit more in the wilderness that way, we might be able to see some more wildlife. Right, well it turns out we're actually in quite a good spot because everywhere else we go is just herds of cattle and grazing fields. So we're going to stick it around here, and we've got work to do today. All of these bolt holes, there's no silicone when we put the bolts through. So very small bits of water when it rains kind of comes through and drips onto this mattress. So we're going to try and sort it out. The trouble is, with no ladder, it's going to be really difficult for me to get into the centre of the roof to pull these bolts out, put the thing in, blah 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 blah. So there's going to be a little bit of fannying about, but we've got a whole day. And this is why it's kind of difficult. I can barely reach. Right, so we've done the 2 middle ones, working as a team, and I nearly died of heat stroke and fell off the vehicle doing the front. So we're going to leave it as that and see if it actually works against, because they're the worst ones, see if it works against the next rain shower, and if it does, we'll do the rest. That should be easier, yeah?
Yeah. I think I might have enough. We've just reluctantly left our beautiful little camp spot that we were there for a couple of days at, which was in the forest, which you guys saw earlier. And we're going to head to the local lake and have a little bit of a freshen up, maybe a little bit of a swim. And then we're going to try and get as close as we can to Yellowstone National Park, because the campgrounds fill up really early in the morning, and that's the only way that you can camp in the park. So fingers crossed we can set the alarm and get an early start and get one tomorrow. Just got down to this beautiful lake and someone had just got out of it and he gave us a tip off. He's just had to pull loads of leeches off him, so
it's not really looking appealing right now. Even though, funny enough, we were actually here the other day, and where that guy told us the leeches got him was over there, and that's kind of like small shingly pebbles which leeches can hide in, whereas we got in the other day just down there, which is kind of a bit sheer, so as soon as you've stepped over a couple of rocks, you know, you're not touching the ground anymore, or you're standing on top of a very tall rock, the leech won't be there, so we kind of lucked out.
yeah.
But we're not really feeling it now, so maybe yeah. Let's find ourselves another campsite next to the park,
Yeah.
with a water source, and we'll just wash in a stream.
Yeah.